let the sheNEDigans begin. Long live the sheNEDigans. Hello and welcome to the topic of this video. As always, let's talk sheNEDigans. So, with the world in its current state at the moment, I know a lot of you are practicing social distancing, staying at home, as you should, and you're just overall trying to stay safe, and, with a lot of the craziness that's, happening out there. So, some of you are probably cooped up at home if you aren't, going to work and whatnot, which if you are, great on you, and you are offering an incredible, great service to everybody right now. Basically, some of you are probably cooped up at home and probably wondering, what can I do? What things, other than cleaning, keeping the house in order, probably taking care of your family if you have one, some of the things that, I'd probably recommend, watching movies, playing video games, that kind of stuff, especially movies. And, you have Netflix, or if you're like me and have a giant movie collection and stuff like that, there are plenty of movies to watch. There are some that you probably shouldn't be watching right now that really have to do with either pandemics, quarantining, or just diseases in general. There are some you really shouldn't be watching if you are a paranoid kind of person, or if it just fuels the paranoia or anything like that. So I kind of put together a small list of movies that you should not watch during a pandemic. God's Not Dead. It's a terrible movie and it will literally drive you insane. On to the next one. I'm kidding. This is the actual number 5. The Happening. Now, of course, this is just a bad movie in general, which is why it's all the way at the top, but there are some things that this movie does actually get right when it comes to a health pandemic. Obviously, in the movie, there are a lot of bad things happening to people that, whatever the plants are spreading around are literally driving people insane, and it's very easy to catch it. So that's honestly very similar to what we're dealing with right now with COVID-19 or coronavirus or whatever you call it. And basically, there are a lot of elements in this movie where either people are being incredibly selfish, they're being incredibly mean-spirited, or they're just not handling the pandemic properly. And there are times, even in the movie, where there are large groups of people, and it's actually, when there are the large groups of people in the movie, it's actually a lot easier to catch whatever the plants are spreading around to these people, and actually, winds up spreading around whatever the plants are spreading around, I guess, to all the other people. So, honestly, I think that movie is honestly a great example of kind of what is going on with COVID-19. But a lot of the things that happen in the movie, they can be a little bit scary for what's going on, at least to a certain degree. It's a terrible movie, and this would never happen in real life anyway. Yeah. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Now, there are 2 versions of this. I tend to lean towards the original one. I love the remake. The remake is really good. There are several remakes, by the way, so I'm talking about the first remake. But I'm mainly leaning towards the original one. I love the original immensely. There's a charm to it. It's a great movie, and there's a lot of really good stuff that has to do with it. Now, the overall message of this movie is completely different from an actual pandemic, but I honestly thought that some of the themes in this movie can actually go in tandem with a health-like pandemic, and especially in particular with what's going on right now. With Invasion of the Body Snatchers, basically the plot is people are slowly being taken over by if I'm correct, they're called pod people. It's this alien species that has invaded Earth, and basically they are slowly taking over people's identities and stuff like that through basically these plants and pods and whatnot. And basically through what's going on right now, I mean, in the movie, Nobody knew who the pod people were. It could literally be your neighbor. It could be your husband, your wife, your child. Literally anybody. Heck, it could even be your dog. So, with what's going on right now with the coronavirus, COVID-19, like I said, whatever you call it, but as long as you don't call it anything bad or insensitive, basically, with coronavirus, it's very, at least right now, hard to tell who does and doesn't have it. Unless you're in the hospital or you have already tested positive for it. So literally, you could be walking down the street, and someone, maybe they don't have a cough or whatever. Or maybe they have a cough, but they don't have it. And you're panicking now that maybe you have been infected by it or something like that. Which is why we're practicing social distancing. And, you shouldn't be, close to a lot of people or just close to anybody except, some of your loved ones. So basically, in this idea, it's very similar that you simply don't know who does and doesn't have it. And, eventually the whole world, well, not the whole world, but a lot of the places in this movie to wind up getting taken over by the pod people. So in that regard, I would argue that this is a little bit similar in that regard. The Thing. This basically, I would say, is arguably the same idea as Invasion of the Body Snatchers, except more violent. Actually, I would say it's actually maybe even a tad bit more intense than Invasion of the Body Snatchers in many regards. Mainly because in The Thing, they not only do you not know who is the Thing or is, has this thing that's basically possessing them to a degree. You also, it actually talks about, how this thing, basically infected people down to the, molecular level, down to, the blood cells and everything like that. And actually, I would argue that that is even more in tandem with what's going on. And then on top of that, the movie, they're heavily secluded. They are, not close to a lot of friends and family. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out in the world right now who are dealing with those same aspects. The Shining. Now, with this movie, it has nothing to do with health pandemics or anything like that, but it does have to do with cabin fever. The story basically has to do with this family who go to a haunted hotel. They don't know it's haunted. And basically they're trying to take, care of it during the off season when people are not coming in and stuff like that. And basically the father winds up getting basically he goes insane because of the spirits in the house. But it also has a little bit to do with, just being secluded in this place for so long, for so many months, and the only thing you have to do is, take care of the property, but also you basically get lost within your own madness and stuff like that with what happens in the house. And I think that is definitely that definitely applies to what's going on right now. A lot of people, you got to keep busy in a very positive way and a not monotonous way. Basically, you got to, keep up with your daily routines. You got to do, chores around the house. You got to, spend time with your family, have fun and stuff like that. If you are with your family, and maybe, just come up with a hobby that you're doing or something like that. There's a lot of things that you have to do to really try and keep your mind at ease during stuff like this and not literally go insane like Jack did. Literally any zombie movie. There are specific ones I could name, and I will name a few that I think are incredibly fantastic zombie movies, but overall, like literally any zombie movie you shouldn't watch right now. Mainly because obviously with zombies, very much in tandem with The Happening and kind of The Thing, whatever illness that these zombies have, it spreads like wildfire. It goes to everybody, and eventually everyone becomes a zombie. And yeah, you guys know what your typical zombie movie is. I don't really have to explain that. But movies that I would actually put at number one when it comes to, zombie movies anyway, are I Am Legend, That definitely shows a lot of the emptiness that some places are kind of going through with everyone staying at home and everything. Another one I would not recommend is, Night of the Living Dead, the original grand zombie movie. Return of the Living Dead, another one, especially with that one because there's a lot of weird government conspiracy stuff going on, so shouldn't watch that one at all if you are, paranoid about anything that has to do with the government. And my personal favorite, this is actually my favorite zombie movie. It's not fantastic by any means, but I personally really love this movie. It's called Maggie. It has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, and it's an incredibly sad movie, so maybe you just shouldn't watch it in general. But this is a movie that I actually think that Arnold Schwarzenegger has some really great acting chops in it, and I think you should take a look, give it a watch, but at the same time, don't watch it because, it's sad, and with things going on right now, you should try your best to watch more happy things at the moment. So, that's my list. Top 5 things that you should not watch during a pandemic, or quarantine, or literally anything. I know there's some movies that I left out that you guys probably would mention, like Quarantine, for example. I think there's another one. I completely forgot the name of it. But there are technically better movies, I guess, you can watch, that you shouldn't watch, I guess, during this time. But yeah, these are my personal movies that you shouldn't watch during, what's going on out in the world right now. Now, before I go ahead and move on with the closing, I just wanted to go ahead and say, thank you to everyone for watching this video. And then on top of that, hey, make sure that you're all staying safe. Practice social distancing, wash your hands, make sure that if you can stay at home, stay at home. If you have to go to work, I applaud you and, think that you're doing an incredibly great service to, basically everybody who needs supplies, or if you're doctors or nurses or anything in the medical field, I pray for you every day. I think you're doing, not even think, you are doing a great service and a fantastic job for everybody. Thank you so much. And, obviously this video is kind of made a little bit in jest. If you want to watch these movies, it's perfectly fine, obviously. But, these are kind of things to think about a little bit. One of the reasons why I made this channel is because I love analyzing things. And when it comes to what's going out in the world right now, these are movies that definitely hit very close to home with what is going on. So, if movies can heavily affect you, obviously, don't watch it. But, obviously, like I said, this video was made in jest. If you guys watch them, that's totally fine. I'm sorry this seems to be like a very long outro, but I'm an over-explainer. I'm sorry. So, that's basically it. Once again, thank you so much for watching the video. If you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe. This will definitely help with, supporting the channel in every way. I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers. Please share the word of sheNEDigans around, because once I hit 1,000 and reach, 4,000 watch hours, I can actually, start making money off of this YouTube channel. So, if you guys can, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, like the video. Like I said, share it around. And last but not least, follow us on social media with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you guys can, and I completely understand if you can't with what's going on right now, please follow us on Patreon. Anything helps. Even a simple $1 a month, will help greatly with the YouTube channel. But once again, if you can't, I completely understand, because, the world's crazy right now. And I know some of you are probably not doing great financial-wise. So, but yeah, that's basically it. Once again, thank you so much. God bless. I'm praying for all of you. Stay safe. Take care.